Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No one is paying attention. It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?
Alright, hi guys, welcome to the channel, welcome back. So today I'm going to doing something a little bit different because for those of you who follow the channel a lot, you know I talk a lot about market profile. I talk a lot about generally a holistic strategy in terms of generating income for yourself and ways to look at the market from a swing trading perspective largely. And again, for those of you who are interested in intraday trading, you would see that I have some content on this channel on the best way to do it. I don't do it as much because I feel you generally get the same amount of volatility whether you're doing it or not. I think day trading just adds to the churn, which means you just spend more commissions doing it. I don't really think it gives you a bigger return, but obviously that's just me. And it's also going to be relative to the asset you trade. Now, of course, my edge lies in being able to look at these things and swing them largely. And one of the other things that I do here is sell options. Now, I have got a ton of content on selling options, and I tend to promote that a lot more in terms of the best way to come at the markets if you're going to trade options is to sell options. Now, I'm not completely against the idea of buying an option. It's just that I find that it's incredible. Options are decaying assets, so you gotta what's the word, you've got to manage the theta button. So in other words, you have to be very right to make money on a long option position, whereas I find that you don't even have to be right to make money on a short option position. So I prefer to sell the options. Now, in selling the options, I think it's important that you have the right tools, and that's why you can see here, this is my general platform for selling options. So this is where you will find me looking at what option strikes, what calendars I would like to sell. I'll be looking at the different strikes and I'll be deciding what strike to sell based on what I can see here in terms of volatility, IV, standard deviations, and so on. Right, so obviously I treat my option trading like I'm a professional. I do have an industry background. Whilst I don't see the market generally like some of those other industry professionals, I'm not here trying to rake money out of people. What I'm trying to do is give you an idea of how I look at the market and how I do it, and why I think should be beneficial to you, and it will give you a certain degree of edge as someone who's probably a retail investor. You know, if you're watching this video, you're probably a retail investor. If you ask my honest opinion, I personally think that retail investors are far more serious and capable when it comes to trading than professionals. Now, a lot of professionals will agree with me, especially ones that are really good at what they do. They'll probably agree with me. And the other thing you've got to bear in mind, the wealthiest people in this business are not necessarily the smartest, right? It's just that we live in a world where if you can attract a lot of capital, then ultimately that capital could be multiplied exponentially, right? Because it's just the way money works. As they say, your first 100k is the hardest to make, but once you've made that first 100k, you can tend to make a lot more within a shorter space of time, and that's largely because of the compounding effect. So when people who have access to a lot of capital always appear or seem to be smart or smarter than those who don't. But to my career, what I've seen is people who don't have a lot of capital tend to have a lot more to lose, so they put more effort and they find edges that even they don't know that they've found, because their professionals will easily tell you, well, that's ridiculous, because why do you even need to do that? Why does that even work? Well, it stands to reason they've never done it, so they don't know. Right? That's the bottom line. They don't know, but they have to always seem to be smart. So they're going to tell you that they know. They're the best people to go to, and you see them all the time in social media who people who want to cash in on the new media wave are going to be out there pushing themselves as professionals, when we're really just talking about a case where they just had a little bit more money to start off with than most other people, so they were able to grow that more exponentially, in some cases not even using any complicated strategies, or they didn't even need to risk manage. Basically, they were just able to grow that fairly easily. So it's just the world we live in. The more capital you have, the faster you can grow. Of course, not everybody started this way, and I'm very mindful of that. So a lot of the strategies that I've focused on in my time are the ones that retail investors are likely going to find themselves needing to focus on. Because if you can focus on a strategy that has high edge, that you've put a lot of work into, or you can focus on a research area, particular idea, for example, that Wall Street is not going to be focused on because that's just not where their edge is, then you're going to be in a much better position. So going back to my earlier point, retail investors put so much work and time and effort into investing. They got so much screen time, even more so than professionals, that there's no reason why as a retail investor you shouldn't be more successful than an institutional investor or institutional trader, let's put it that way. And yeah, I mean, some people disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But from what I've seen, through my time in the industry, is that retail investors are incredibly smart, mentally equipped to do this. I just think it's a question of lack of belief. So anyway, a lot of this channel, what I do here is to kind of really cater to that audience, to get them to see, well, you're on the right track. I guess you just need someone to tell you that whether you're on the right track. So anyway, as I always say, support the channel, like, subscribe. That helps the YouTube algorithm know that we're doing something good here, and we're more likely to get more attention. We'll be able to help more people. All right, so I've diverged a little bit. So let's reel this all the way back to selling options. Right, so first thing you need to understand, I've got a ton of videos already on options trading that you can look at. I've got a free course here on YouTube. If you go through my channel, that you can watch, that already covers options. Now, one of the things that you want to be able to pay attention to or be able to understand is what we call the options chain. The option chain just lists basically call options and put options, and it basically tells you those in the money, those out of the money on either side, and then you can decide what strike you want to sell based on the premiums available. So it's actually really straightforward. I mean, nothing could be simpler. So the basics are really easy to grasp. You've got calls, you've got puts. Do you want to sell an out of the money call, which will be all the strikes here? Do you want to sell an out of the money put, which will be all the strikes here? Or do you want to sell an in the money put, or do you want to sell an in the money call? There are ways you can decide how you're going to do that. And it's all down to how much premium you're going to be able to collect. Like I said, we're option sellers. And then we have the calendars. So we got, every week, as you can see, these options expire. So you've literally got a week, if you sold an option, for that option to stay out of the money and expire worthless. So you can get to collect the full premium. So this is what it looks like. So if you're looking at my chart here, you can see I've sold Micron puts, which means I'm bullish on Micron. So whenever you sell a put option, it means you're bullish, because what you're basically saying is that the price is going to stay above your strike price. Because if it finishes below your strike price, then it tends to mean that if the option expires, then you'll be assigned. So basically you'll be assigned stock at a price essentially below your strike price. And that's, you take a capital loss, because you have to basically own that stock and sell it back into the market at the price it's trading for. Well, that's the downside, is that you're exposed. As an option seller, you are exposed to the entire stock. But it doesn't mean that you're going to get assigned, because you can always close the trade by basically buying back the option. So even though you sold someone an option and you've collected the premium, you can always go back and buy the option again at the current price, and then separate the difference between what you received in premium and what it cost you to buy the option in the open market. So you can get out of these trades, so you can close them. That's the point. So most people do end up closing their option trades. Some people trade options like a stock basically through the day. So hence why there's so many videos online about, oh, I'm an options trader, make billions with, because options are generally looked at as leverage tools, right? Because each option contract essentially entitles the individual or the holder to 100 shares, right? So the multiplier is 100, and you can see that here, that 100 here on my screen for Micron. Yeah, that's the multiplier. So if the multiplier is 100, then you're entitled to 100 shares, right? So that means that for every option contract you're holding, you're entitled to 100 shares. So you're going to have exposure to 100 shares at any given point. And that might be challenging for some people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not doable.
Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your clients money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?